Ding 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 da ding ding da ding 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 da ding ding da ding 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 da ding ding da ding ding ding.
Bubble time.
Hi, I am Teresa Tomey.
And I am Patrick Ziegler.
And we are
Fubble Entertainment.
And this is
Bubble time. What, are you going to fall asleep? What's going on?
Like there's a lot of space in between.
Well, you're the timing person. You say it all.
I think it's the delay in this new technology. I'm here in California today. You're in Michigan. We have you're in Douglas. We have a guest who's coming to us from Grand Rapids, Michigan, my neighborhood in Grand Rapids. This is very, very exciting.
Wait, let's see who's here. So let's post. Hopefully Kevin and Jeannie are here.
They're regulars. My sister said she was going to show up, so I hope she shows up today.
Which one?
Mary Kay. Ann's working.
Oh, okay. Kevin's here. Yay. Bonsoir.
Bonsoir. And before we bring our guest in, you were going to do a little show and tell real quick.
Kelly Sheeran says hi.
Kelly. You know Kelly? Hi, Kelly. Yes, that's Kelly. You just met Kelly. And Roseanne's with us.
Yay, Roseanne. Hi, Roseanne, who's a creative artist herself that we're going to have on someday.
Yeah.
Yes, my show and tell is.
Yay. She knows Joni from the Wayback Machine. Joni's friends with Melanie Musser.
Oh.
That's how far back that goes. I know. We'll have to talk about that.
Mary Kay. So Teresa, something came in the mail mysteriously, and because there was no return address, and I had no idea, but this showed up in the mail.
Bubble time.
And then I was like, who would have done this? Who would have done this? And then I went, oh, it's my business partner.
That's right.
You can buy these. I bet you all of our fans want to buy them now.
These are for the low price of, what does it cost us to make a movie of $1.5 million? We'll sell you one of these mugs.
And then we can get our movie made.
We can get a movie made. That would be great. Hey, let me get to our interview today. Yes. Joni Hodsdon is an office manager by day and stage manager by night. She's also an EnergyTouch practitioner when she gets the chance. Fascinating. We were just talking about that just before we started the show tonight. She's been involved in theater in Grand Rapids for more than 40 years, doing everything from acting, building sets, backstage work, assistant directing, and of course, stage managing. She is with us this Pride Month, celebrating Pride all month long. We will be. She is an out and proud lesbian forever, capital letters, and never apologizes for it. She has been with her partner, Kelly, for 17 years. They have 2 dogs, 2 cats, and 3 adult humans. I cannot wait to have a conversation. We had a conversation with this woman, kind of a informal conversation during some of our documentary work that we were doing. And Joni is just a font of goodness. And so without further ado, Joni Hodsdon, welcome to Fubble Time.
Oh. Hi.
Yay.
Hey, Joni.
Hi, Joni.
How's it going?
So great to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And show off your prideful theater shirt. Circle Theater, which we've all worked at, which we all love so much. So we're grateful that you're kicking off Pride Month with us, and we're doing creative, prideful people this month, and you're one of them. And so, kind of, we start things off on a regular basis. Is just where, when, how do you remember that you expressed your creativity? When do you first remember that you did that? Because you have creativity in your healing modality, but also in your, right now we're kind of focused on the theater part of it.
Yeah. I was like, in elementary school, I played sports, that was kind of my outlet. And then when I got into junior high, I found out about theater and about acting, and actually first into forensics at Ottawa. Miss McCord, you remember Miss McCord? anyway, Miss McCord at Ottawa Hills, and I started doing forensics, and then I got into theater, and so that was in high school. And then, the turning of the whole tides was taking Marty Child's theater class through Educational Park, which was, a program
So cool.
they did for kids who couldn't sit still, basically. They said, that it was kids who didn't fit into so they did this Educational Park. And so I got to do theater. And so for 2 years, I was in her class, and it was at the Civic Theater. It was the year the Civic Theater moved from Leonard Street to, my senior year was the year they moved. So we helped them move. And it was just like, all of a sudden there was this whole family of people. It was remarkable. So
you were involved in theater before I even came in.
Yeah. Yep. That was like in 1977.
Wow. Yeah. Especially if you helped Civic Theater move. So were you primarily acting at that point?
Yep. I was in Marty's class, and I wanted to be an actress, and, we did shows and scene work. But then we also had to do all the other stuff because it was all about theater. So we worked in the shop with Jim Travenka.
Oh my gosh.
Paul came in and talked to us. Michael Page came in and talked to us. That was very exciting. I loved his accent. And so it was a really cool program that they had. And it was like the whole second half of the day,
So for the people that aren't familiar with Grand Rapids, because we can kind of all of a sudden get in our own little world, right? Explain what the class was.
What Ed Park was and who Marty was.
Yeah.
Ed Park it was an offshoot of the Grand Rapids Public Schools, and it was more focused on, like, you could take a metal shop, and so it was outside of, so I went to Ottawa Hills. We had theater there. Rodney Vaccaro directed there when I was in high school. And,
oh my gosh.
He was a little bit older than me. So in Educational Park, you studied something that you couldn't get at your school. So they started, so they put the theater program, which was Marty, who was the most wonderful curmudgeon that you would ever meet in your life. She seemed so, I always remember we had to usher, that was part of, if we took the class, we had to usher, and then we got to see the shows at Civic. So she goes, when you give someone their program, you do not say, enjoy the show. You say, I hope you enjoy the show, because you don't tell people what to do.
Oh.
So now I always think about that whenever it's, I hope you enjoy the show. I hope you have a good day.
That's good. That's actually very good. I wish they would have taught me that at the public theater when I worked as an usher.
Right. And so she was just a force to be reckoned with. And so she put this class together, and it had all the aspects of theater, because she really wanted to give young kids the idea. It's not just you go to your school and you do a show, this is community theater, and it's in Grand Rapids. That was it was the Civic Theater then. There was Circle was there, but I don't even think actors had started yet. No, it hadn't started yet.
So did you put on shows within the group, or were you just learning things about theater?
We did shows. We did 2 shows, one each semester, and that was kind of like the culmination of everything. So we did the costuming. Marty got someone, Jason Moore.
Yeah.
Jay Buttermore, when I met him. He did our costumes for him, and Robin Stopples did the props. And, Marty just had all these people that she'd come, and they would just volunteer and come help to teach, to give kids an interest in community theater. It was really an awesome program. And
what did that, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, and what did that do for you? Like, how do you think that shaped you?
Oh man, it shaped me in a way. I mean, because I met people, I met some of my friends that I'm still friends with now. And I also met a lot of gay people, was boys, I gotta say, but they were, we weren't even sure at that time, and nobody really talked about coming out when I was in high school. It wasn't something,
right.
But if all of a sudden I found people who didn't care if I said I liked a girl, or I could listen to them, you know what I mean? Like, it was just this a whole sense of family. And then it was kids from all the high schools. So I met kids from Creston, I met kids from Central, I met kids from Union, and we were all at this class, and then we came together. And so it was awesome. I mean,
did you have to pay for it, or was it funded through?
It was funded through Grand Rapids Public Schools, and they had,
wow.
Zoo School came out of that. The educational program came out of, because you could also do a half-day class and go to the zoo, but you had to have, you know, a high GPA, and you had to have I was a junior, so I had to have so many credits, because this class was worth double the credits or something. But anyway, so you had to meet certain criteria in order to get in to do the class, but then you were still based in your own high school, you know, which was Ottawa.
Oh, wow. Was it strictly Grand Rapids?
Yep. Grand Rapids Public.
Our friend Denise Gunn is here, and she says God evening, and I know that she meant to say God evening. I know that she did that. She's from our church back in Florida, so I love that. I love that.
That's sweet.
That's cute.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Go ahead. Ask. Are you going to ask the next question?
Well, we've got these prepared questions, but I'm like, I already want to go off script because I'm curious.
Going rogue.
I'm going rogue again.
It's like you've never done that before, Teresa.
Mary Handy's here.
And John Brees and Mary are here because we love theater and Joni, don't we though? So I'm just curious, you know, when we're talking about, Patrick and I are working on the documentary, and we talked about, you know, we need a chapter about gays in the theater. Like, that is such a thing. I mean, so I have the pride questions at the end, but I'm jumping in now. What, you know, you are an out and proud lesbian, as you say in your bio. So when did that happen, and how did theater, you started to touch on it, but I'm so curious how theater was a catalyst for you in being brave in that voice.
Well, first of all, theater just gave me just to be myself, and to know it was okay to be myself, but then you could also morph into different people and try different things on. I came out to the world when I left Grand Rapids and went to Phoenix when I turned 19. And then I went to Phoenix, and Phoenix was a whole different world when it came to the gays. I'll tell you what, you know, Grand Rapids, we had 3 Sons Plus 1 in the Carousel. And I think that was that time, right? Just those 2 bars. And you went to dance.
The apartment was still there.
Yeah, the apartment. You went to dance at Margaret's Cha-Cha Palace, and Margaret sat outside and let you in, or you went to the Carousel just to sit and have drinks. But then, and everybody was afraid coming out. I mean, it just was. But then I went to Arizona, and there's like 20 gay bars, and no one cares, and you know, it's just different out west. And so then when I was in Arizona, I never lie. I never tried to be straight, never, you know, anything. And the first year I came back for Christmas, I went to Arizona, I came back for Christmas, and had a nice Christmas visit with my folks, but still not quite too sure. And we got to my mom took me to the airport, and she took me by herself. She goes, so we go to the airport. So we get to the airport. She goes, honey, I just want you to know something. Whenever you're ready to come out to me, you can. I've been going to PFLAG for a couple years now, she says to me. And I'm like,
wow.
And we all know it's okay. So I'm like, okay. So I never really like came out to my family. My mom came out to me. So then from that moment on, I never worried about anything. But the thing about theater is just, it's, you know, there is always, you know, the drama queens and there's always stuff going on. But there is a sense of family and a sense of you can be whoever you are, and it's okay, you know. And around that same time,
Kevin says that's a good mom. Kevin wrote.
My mom, and then my grandma, right around that same time, she was living out in Arizona, and I went to go visit her, and she's like, you know, I just got to tell you something, honey. And I'm like, okay. She goes, you know, whoever you love, that's okay. You can love whoever you want. And as long as you're not hurting yourself or anybody else, it's okay.
Wow.
But if you start hurting someone, you're going to hear from grandma, she says. But, you know, and she was important that she said, or yourself, you know, you can't, as long as you're loving and there's no meanness or, you know, it's all right. So
do you think that gave you more of a freedom in a confidence? Do you feel that was helpful? Because I mean, we've all heard and experienced horror stories with coming out and you know, family not accepting. So I do want to bring it to the theater because it's interesting because we have Fred Stella put up a shoe. I don't know what that means.
I'm muting myself because they're
working
construction next door. Rebecca says, "Sweet mom." She queued up her coming out moment. Yeah, very sweet, very sweet. So, what were you saying, Patrick?
Well, it just is. There is so many creatives in theater that are LGBTQIA community. And it's interesting because it is a safe place for us, but also do you think the draw is that so many go to that world? I mean, I've heard many different things that, that most are creative by nature. But it's just interesting. Did you feel, since you were young, that you did want to go into theater, but you said acting wise, but were you also at, during those classes and everything, is that when you discovered you like stage managing and doing all that?
Yeah. I mean, and there were other things to do. And then when I was in Phoenix, they're like, well, we really need a stage manager. I think you would be good. And you actually get paid for that in community theater. So it's like, oh, then there was
right.
a ability to make a little bit of money doing what I love, because unfortunately, as we know, if you're acting, you don't get paid. But then the thing I loved about stage managing, it got to my puzzle master mind of putting all the pieces together, but then also keeping the people together, the cast together. This is my cat Maverick.
Speaking of keeping together, herding cats.
Yeah, this is herding cats in a lesbian household. Imagine that. But putting the pieces together, and then also kind of being there as a honey, I don't want you to as emotional support. He wants to get up on my shoulders. As emotional support because whenever you're doing a show, things come up. If you're an actress and you're playing a part, or an actor and you're playing a part, you got to tap into something in you in order to be good, in order for it. And so things come up. So that really spoke to me. And so I really, I have a little bit, some people might say I have some control issues, but so that helps with the stage managing part too. But yeah, so it was just a matter of trying to keep in it. And, if you stage manage too, the other thing I found out is you can do like 5 shows a year. And when you're a performer, you don't know if you're going to get cast or not. You don't know if you're going to be able to do 5 shows a year, or if, and I could do theater all year long if I wanted. So that was also really
because have you worked at all of the theaters in Grand Rapids?
Yeah, I have never worked with Heritage.
Oh.
And now I think they're defunct. I think
so. I don't think they were trying to do something, but I just think, but that was the only, well, no, I think I ran lights. I take that back. I did run lights a couple of times for them.
So there you go. Nice.
Go.
So one of the things we were just chatting about too is, so when you started in theater, like you said, it's not like everybody was like, hey, I'm here. But then we started seeing theater that was definitely content oriented for LGBTQ plus communities. What was that like for you what do you remember the first show you worked on that might have had content that was
it Boys in the Band?
Wow.
It was a long time ago. But it was awesome to see it. I mean, it was awesome to see that content and to see it. Unfortunately, really, though, a lot of it came out of the AIDS epidemic. And, the 80s, everybody talks about this pandemic, which has been horrible. Don't get me wrong, but there was a pandemic in the 80s that killed a lot of my friends.
Yeah.
And, and so it was like a lot of those shows first started coming up because of what I saw, because of that, but then it came out of that even more and, moved it along. But yeah, I remember seeing the Children's Hour.
Oh,
all I wanted to do was play that part. I auditioned, but Paul didn't cast me.
Where did they do that?
Well, at the Civic, like in 1979.
Really?
I think it was. Yeah,
really? I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but then to see the shows now coming up and what's coming on, and like we talked earlier about Fun Home, and Fun Home was the first show that I did that the gay and lesbian people came up to me afterwards and thanked me. That show was incredible because they felt like that was just normal, not, but like it was they could see themselves there, they could feel themselves there, and you got everything from the homophobic, the homophobia from the father's, generation to how that changed with hers. And it was just, it was that whole experience of Fun Home was amazing. And just working with that script, because Bechtel is amazing. I think Bechtel is, just an amazing.
And that was at Circle, right?
Yeah. No. Yeah. That was at. Was it? Yeah. Circle. That was at Circle.
Oh, Kevin is writing about. I love Fun Home. Alison Bechtel has a new graphic novel coming out that's getting good buzz.
Yeah, it's more about her mom, I guess, after her dad died. The new one is.
Oh, interesting.
Fascinating. About what happened with her mom after her dad died. That's what
just a few more comments real quick. Denise, thank you. Yes, giving another shout out to your mom. Fred Stella says he's in the house. Hey, Joni. Mary
Handy's having connectivity issues.
We are, all of our shows end up on our Fubble Entertainment page on YouTube. So if you want to watch it, you can watch it there at a later time. So I'm going to shift corners a second. Shift corners? That's not a thing.
Don't go away from the theater yet, though. Are you going away from the theater?
I was going to, but if you have a theater question, you go for it.
I do. I just want to talk about real quick before we go to the next thing that you're talking about is just how have you dealt through this crazy last year and a half with Roseanne just wrote a dissertation about something.
We'll come back to Joan, or do you want to do Roseanne's first? Okay, so one of my favorite Joni memories was being recruited by her while at the Cottage Bar to work backstage at Grand Rapids Civic Theater as a swing dresser on romantic comedy. I hung out with her, Karen Burchard, and Brian Bruins in the Julie Harris dressing room each night. It was at this time in this safe place that she introduced me to the new stack pretzel combos.
Oh, I remember that.
Isn't it remarkable the intensity with which you create relationships and memories doing theater?
It really is. And there's just something about the connection, because you're automatically bared, like we talked about, you're there with your emotional self on board. You're there with, you're doing this work because you want people to heal. I think a lot of times, whatever kind of art you're doing it because I think artists are healers, underneath it all. That's what it comes down to, is like you want people to heal from your experience. You want people to heal from what they're seeing. You want people,
right.
So, yeah.
Well, there's so much healing in just the entertainment joy. If you're going to see something like The Music Man,
Exactly. Well, yeah.
Well, come on now.
No, there is, and you can go for 2 hours, and you can escape, and you can sing, and you can, even if you're in the audience, and you can hear the music. And I think there is even
sometimes nap.
Sometimes nap. That happens.
We've all seen that in the audience, haven't we?
So going back to the question, how have you dealt with this last year and a half of this pandemic, and what has it done, and when do you get to do, or have you already done a show? What is that like?
It was hard because, well, this was my joke, is every year I've worked at Circle. Well, I worked for Circle in the box office for quite a few years, and then every year I've stage managed there for I don't know how many years. Well, I told Lynn in the beginning of 2020, I'm going to take this year off. I'm not going to do theater. I'm just going to take 20. So I was already planning on taking 2020 off.
Oh my. So it's your fault.
And that's what I said. I said, Lynn, you didn't have to do this because you couldn't have me at Circle this summer. So yeah, that was kind of my joke, but So I was already planning on taking the year off because I was going to do some private work and do that. But then there's a big difference when you plan on doing it because you're choosing it and then you have to.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, this isn't, so I have, read and and trying to do the work, trying to do the internal work that I meant to do. So it's kind of like the universe was kind of shaping me that way anyway. I do find that I do miss being in a room with people, and like, this is great, and I'm glad that we can do this now, except for I do feel like we've graduated to the Jetsons, like this is the beginning of it all. I'm just waiting for those flying cars. But but this is nice, but there's something about being in a room with someone and being in their field and having everybody together that I really miss.
Yeah.
That even though I've stayed connected to people and everything, I still miss and the collaboration that can happen when you are in the same room. So if I talk over you, I can just, you can touch my arm and say, shh, instead of, wait a minute, mute, it's just, this whole electronic stuff is a little bit, it's like I said, it's great. I'm glad I have it. I'm glad we have it. I've stayed connected with my family that way. It's been awesome. But yeah. So back to your other question, I'm going to be doing hair in September at Circle.
Oh, great.
So I'll be stage
managing. I was like, I didn't know you did hair too.
No, I'm going to stage manage the musical Hair in September at Circle. That's my new show.
I gotcha. I was like, good God, woman, is there anything you don't do? That's hilarious.
I can do hair, but just like I can sing, but no one wants to hear it.
Yeah.
And are they doing that inside in the theater?
Yeah, they're doing it inside. They're going to do the next show they're doing in July is going to be inside because all the restrictions here in Michigan, July 1st are lifted for indoor. So they're going to be doing cabaret, but I still think they're selling limited seats. They're not selling out the whole house. So they're doing cabaret in July, and then they're doing noises off, and you have to do that inside. I don't know how you could do that outside.
Right.
Oh, they are doing that?
Hmm?
They are doing it, noises off?
Yeah, they're doing noises off in August, and then hair in September. That was the last time you were away.
So now I am going to switch gears.
Yep.
That's what we do. I don't know what I said before, but
changing corners.
Changing corners.
Yeah. Maybe you were thinking about your previous life, honey.
I don't know. Some bizarre thing.
That was a Patrick bubble.
Yeah. Switching gears. But you actually gave us the segue to it because we wanted to talk about your healing work. And you said that artists are healers. So do you consider yourself an artist? And can you talk a little bit about your energy practitioner work? And is there a creative, does that intersect with your creativity? Is that?
Oh, yeah, it definitely intersects with my and it does intersect with the creativity, and there is creativity involved because every time so I do EnergyTouch, which is working in the energetic body to make, to heal the energetic body outside of and then bring it into the physical and integrate it back in. So you can integrate the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual all together into one. And it's constantly, every client is different. Everybody's got, I'm constantly changing the game plan, or, there's basic healing steps I go through in every healing, but things change up depending upon what's going on with the person, what I'm picking up on from their energy and things that need to change or things that they need to move. So yeah, it definitely, I feel like it's a different show every time. And it is, because everybody's different and everybody needs something different. Sometimes it's just a physical malady and you really need to get things back in line, and if you don't have them in line energetically, they're not going to get in line energetically in your body, because your body holds everything until you can work it out. So yeah, and I think like I said, all artists, I think, are all we're all healers.
Uh-oh, somebody just said spell her last name right.
You had Hodsdon, you didn't have Hodsdon. Sorry.
Thanks, Betty.
Patrick's
That's my bed. But they, you know, everybody, you know, needs something different. So, and I think we all, anybody, one, you can kind of tell, I think it's more the people who are on our artistic path, because that is what their soul calling is. That is what the light is telling them to do, are healers. You know, people who are doing their creative thing because they want to make $5 million, and, you know, it's not really for any kind of, you know, that it's more for personal gain, not for, you know, the good of the all. But it's definitely, you know, it sends ripples out. You know, you go see a good musical, you go see, you know, everybody's, you know, Into the Heights now, all the hype about, you know, but it just makes you feel good to watch it. Even the little 8-minute clip from the beginning, because the music's there, and, you know, you could see these people are really feeling it, and, you know, it raises the vibration of the room. And it, you know, when something does that, it's going to help us heal, because you can't heal unless you're at a certain vibrational level, you know, certain hertz. I don't know what it is, 540. I don't know. I could make something up, but I won't. So you got to be vibrating at that in order for your body even to heal, you know? So I think that, you know, that's why. And I think a lot of times people who, you know, who, like you said, there's so many LGBTQ people in the theater, but that's a way that they can get their vibration up that they might not have been able to, you know, and they can be themselves, and they can say what they want, and they can, you know, talk about whatever they want to, you know, and they can become this other person for a while if they are a performer, or they can just put this little 3-hour show together that's, you know, going to maybe change one person's life, you know, and if it does, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Do you ever incorporate the energy work that you do within the theater community? Have you ever, you know, do you teach it? That people can utilize it?
I would like to teach it, but I don't at this point. And, you know, I always bring it into me every time, but I'm always at rehearsal early. And when I get there, I like open vortexes for any negative energy to go out of the room as people. I mean, I have a little ritual that I do to just kind of like get the room set before anyone's even there. So
that's so
when people
great.
come in, they're just kind of leaving there, you know. And then the other thing I do that I've been doing since is whatever show it is, you know, I have rocks, and I have this bag of rocks, and it goes to every rehearsal, and it goes through every performance. And then on opening, or every performance, and on closing night, I give the cast a rock to take with them that has the energy of the whole creative process. And, you know.
So if anybody wanted you to find you to do this, do you do this for private?
Yep, I do. I have a private practice of EnergyTouch, you know, and I have a little spiel about it.
Where can they find you?
They can find me on Facebook.
Okay.
And that's really, or, you know, or yeah, if you get me on Facebook, private message me, I can get you my phone number. And, you know, I just practice out of my house. I don't really have I had an office for a while, but then they moved the school. So there's an EnergyTouch school of advanced healing in Lowell.
Oh, wow.
Which is where I took the class.
So you don't have a website or anything like that?
I don't have a website, no.
Just find her on Facebook.
So I'm putting EnergyTouch Healing. Is that what you call it?
Yeah. EnergyTouch Healing, yeah.
Great.
And Joni, so is that why, I mean, one of the things that as somebody who follows you on Facebook, one of the things that you do is you do these little short videos, and and they're sweet, and they often have quotes that you kind of build around them. And you always say, keep it coming from the love side. And they're just, I mean, like, even when I say that, I get a little emotional, because I just find them so touching. Like, what motivated you to do that? And it seems like you're doing them pretty consistently.
Well, so this year in February, I turned 59. So I'm going to be 60.
Yay.
next February. And I set an intention every year for myself. And I work on that intention every year. And it's, and so my intention this year was to actively be the light. So in order to do that, I decided one way I could do it was to come on Facebook every day and say, hey, I'm here. Just want you to know everything is cool, or whatever I find that I want to read or whatever. Sometimes it's silly and I don't know. And so I'm just kind of trying to put it out there because people just need to smile, people just need to smile, and people need to feel, I don't know, they just need to smile. Kindness wins every time. It really does. Kindness just wins. And so to document my 59th to 60th year, I decided I would do, and then, if I get to 60 and everybody's like, don't stop doing it, then who knows, I might still do it. And, I started doing it on that YouTube, and nobody could ever find my videos when I posted it on Facebook. So then I just started doing the Facebook Live.
That's because Facebook pushes it down.
Right.
If you post something about another platform, they unless you pay money and buy an ad or something like that.
Right, or something. And so,
that's great that you figured that out and went live. It's kind of like how we started Fubble Time, because it was something we wanted. We had been talking for so long about doing a kind of show together face to face, and all of a sudden this happened, and we were like, no, we don't have to be face to face. We can be in 2 different states and do this. But it was really about positive, putting positive energy out. So I love that you made that choice and that you're doing that, and doing it till you're 60 and beyond, hopefully.
And beyond. Yeah, hopefully. We'll see what happens.
You're muted, TT.
I know, because the dog's barking and it's just insanity here. But we're chill, right? We're chill. I just want to bring it back around as we close out, because we're almost near the end of our time here. This being Pride Month, and kind of getting back to the out and proud. In what ways, and you kind of touched on this a little bit, just about being who you are. How are you an advocate for the LGBTQ community just by being who you are? You were kind of talking about that, your work at the community college.
Yeah, and that's the thing, I stage manage for the community college, and I have for, a few years now. And just those kids having someone, I don't know how many kids do you, who would just come up to me just because they feel comfortable saying they're gay, and they can't even say that to their mom, or at this point I could be their grandmother, I suppose, but we don't need to talk about that. But it makes them feel good that they have someone that they can talk to, and that I don't ever, Kelly will come to a rehearsal or out with us after rehearsal, and it's always like, oh yeah, this is Kelly, my partner, and I take her by the hand, and I never think about that I have to hide it. And I think that gives them a confidence to go, well, look at her. She, isn't dead yet. And it's okay. And she's a nice person. She's a nice person. Look at all she's done for, and I think that that's what it is just being, you can't just make excuses, be unexcusably who you are, and like my grandma said, as long as you're not hurting yourself or anybody else, it's okay.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Just keep it from the kind side,
Wonderful. Well, Joni, this was wonderful to have you on. I knew it would fly by, which it did, but I just love that, just the mix of positivity and creativity and outness, pride that you have, and that you were able to share that with us for this Fubble Time.
Yes, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it. I hope
nice.
everybody had fun.
Well, thank you, Joan.
And look her up for Energy Touch Healing.
Yeah, and keep it coming from
Hodsdon. I did her name right.
What's it, Betty? We promise it's right on all the materials. Patrick just doesn't get it right.
It's my dyslexic mind.
Yeah.
And I looked at it 3 times and still did it wrong.
It's those 2 Ds that gets people every time.
It throws you. It throws you. Well, Joni,
Thank you, everyone.
oh my God, here's the thing. I'm going to totally read this because this is hilarious and I'm doing it and she's going to kill me. But my sister just texted me and said, but wait, I'm confused. Was Joni's mom gay? No. No. No.
Of course she was confused.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. No, Joni's mom was not gay. Your dad was kind of a, what do I want to say? Prolific, visible.
Yeah. He was the voice of the Lakers for 30 some years, voice of the Grand Valley Lakers. And he was on Channel 13, Dick Nelson, sports.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was my dad. He took my mom's maiden name. That was another, he took my mom's maiden name to be on TV because of those 2 Ds with the S in between. Nelson, nobody got wrong.
That's hilarious. That's great. That's great. Well, Joni, it's just been a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you around the hood.
Oh, you will.
Yeah.
Keep it
nice. Thanks, Joni.
Coming from the love side. Very good.
Bye.
All right. All right. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Denise. Amazing. I got in trouble from Mary Kay. She just texted me and went, stop. But that was funny. So I had to share it. And we didn't even talk about Melanie Musser. So there you go. Childhood friends. Great job from Roseanne. Next week, we have Rich Hoyer joining us. Also,
oh my gosh.
The LGBTQ. Patrick's got a Hoyer in his family. Rich is a Hoyer. We don't think there's any connection there, but who knows?
No.
Rich is a...
I'll be able to spell that name right.
You'll be able to spell that name right. Rich is a creative. He's got a left brain and a right brain, and he uses them both equally as a scientist or a biologist, naturalist, and as a birder and a gardener, and in the Gay Men's Chorus in Oregon. And he's just got he's going to be fascinating conversation. So I'm excited about that.
Way fun. So as we always say at the end, and people are saying thank you, great job, Roseanne says, Betty.
Betty.
I said her name wrong. Oh my gosh.
Betty, don't hold it against us. We're good people.
Against us.
I know, we're having a hard time. We're not drinking either, promise.
Nope.
Nope. Water in there. All right. Gotta go.
Gotta go. Bye, all.
Thanks. Night.